Hi Booktube. Well, here's the thing, I've been tagged. I have to admit that was not something I'd anticipated so soon, and I hadn't really thought about doing tags on here, but since I have been, and since it was the very adorable Steve Donoghue who has done it, I thought I'd better give it a go. So it's the New Year's 2020 tag, and I've got my little crumpled piece of paper, and I'll do my best. So the first question in the tag is, how many books do you plan to read in 2020? Now, I have to say that I don't plan to read a specific number of books in any year. What I do is have other goals and plans and challenges and book groups that I belong to. For example, I challenge myself to try and read something non-fiction each month, and some poetry each month, and a book from a different country each month. I belong to a book group. I belong to a Facebook book challenge group, and then there's interesting booktube challenges and so read-alongs. If I do all the things that I generally kind of plan to do, it's going to work out most years between 80 and 100 books, and that's fine with me. But I wouldn't want to say, oh, I want to hit a specific goal, because I know that if I did that, I would want to do it. And what that would mean is that sometime in November, I'd stop reading long books to make sure that I hit my goal, and I'd just read little thin things. And that would be just plain stupid, wouldn't it? So no specific number. Now, next question, which is a good one, is 5 books that you meant to read in 2019 and didn't get to, and that you're going to try and prioritise in 2020. So number 1 of these I can't show you because I've got it on as an ebook, and that's a Lost Children's Archive by Valeria Luiselli, and that was so enthusiastically recommended by Brian at Bushikish and Mark Nash that I bought it and thought I must read this forthwith, and 2 months later I still haven't, so that's definitely high on my list. This is a book that I got ages ago, then kind of lost on the shelves. In fact, I think Tilly had it in on what was her bookshelf at our house, and when she took a load of her books up north where she lives now, I snaffled this one, which earlier last year, and said, oh no, don't take that away, I'm going to read it. Still haven't. The reason that I particularly wanted to be sure to read this, Rabbitproof Fence, is because one of the characters in it, not the Indigenous Australian character, but one of the kind of English colonialist characters, who's a real person, is the great uncle of my sister-in-law, I think. He was played by Kenneth Branagh in the film. Anyway, so obviously I must read it for that reason, if no other. So I will get to that this spring. There's a commitment. This Precious Bane by Mary Webb. I have a bit of a thing about 20th century English women novelists, earlier 20th century, and I picked this one up secondhand. It's a Virago modern classic in their iconic, to use a overused word, green spines with lovely pictures, and I was going to treat myself to reading this and then didn't, so that one's coming soon. Then the other 2 are series that I've started, or trilogies or whatever, trilogies that I haven't got around to finishing, and which I absolutely want to. One of which is Robert Harris, and these are his books that are based on the life of Cicero, and they are such fun. There's been a discussion on BookTube sometimes about what books you read as kind of like a palate cleanser between things that are perhaps a bit more complex or a bit more challenging to read. And Robert Harris and his historical fiction is definitely one of those for me. Detective fiction is the other, of all sorts. And that's not to say that these are not intelligent and complex books, but you kind of romp through them with great pleasure. And this is the 3rd one in the trilogy, and I can't believe that I haven't yet found the moment to enjoy it. So that's on the list soon, when I need to put my feet up and with a cup of tea and have like a real nice reading break. Then the final of my 5 books, it's actually 2 in here, but well, I'll count it as one, is Kristin Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset, who's a Norwegian author from the early 20th century who won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and I couldn't believe that I'd never heard of her and never read her work. And Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse said, get this Tina Nunnally translation because it's much better, and I did, and as you can see, it's a big fat thing, and I read the first book in the trilogy and I've got the other 2 to go, and I thought that I would romp on and read them fairly swiftly, but I haven't, partly because this is my excuse. I think it's a reasonable excuse. See this fat, heavy book? Well, I do quite a lot of my reading walking to and from work because it's like half an hour to myself. And this book is too heavy to be read walking to work. So it's waiting for, I thought maybe I'd get to it at Christmas when I could sit in a sofa, on a comfy chair and read it. And I haven't, so I will soon. Next question was, is there a genre that you're going to read more of in 2020? And yes, I was thrilled when I saw this question because I've just come to an agreement with Tilly, my daughter from Tilly's Shelf, to read plays in 2020. The reason being is last year, for some reason, she and I read a couple of Lorca plays because we were in Andalusia, which was great, and we read Wit, which is a play recommended as part of Jason's Mortality Project. So I kind of got the taste for reading plays again, and then just last week read The Trojan Women by Euripides, inspired by reading A Thousand Ships, and it's got my teeth back into reading plays. So we're going to try and read a play a month this year in 2020, and I guess we'll stick that on both our channels in some form. That's the plan. And if you've got a suggestion of a good play for us to read, then feel free to stick it in the comments. Lillian's already suggested that we read A Doll's House, and I've already suggested that we go right back to the beginning and read Agamemnon by Aeschylus, one of the first plays out there that you can still read, partly because Steve Donoghue reminded me of it when he was doing his Penguin a Day, Penguin Classics thing. So, 3 non-book related goals for 2020. Now, my only real New Year's resolution this year was to start making videos for booktube. So I guess that is book related, so maybe cheating to use that one. But it was my real sort of New Year's resolution. My second one, I suppose, was to get my running going again. I love to run, and I had a bit of a slump in 2019. So I've been running every day since the 1st of January. So that's going well. And to give myself a goal to not fall behind on that, I signed up for a half marathon in October. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see like the picture that I have, like that sort of backdrop, is of the beautiful, beautiful Seven Sisters chalk cliffs that we have here in Sussex. And this half marathon, the Beachhead half marathon, kind of winds up running over those 7 enormous chalk cliffs. So I must be mad planning to do that, but I think it'll be fun, and you can kind of hold me to it that I do it. So I think that's my sort of non-book, 2 definitely non-book related goals and 1 semi. A book, next prop, a book that you've had forever that you still need to read. Now, if you saw my video last week, you will know that is Ulysses by James Joyce, and I am going to do it in February, thanks to the read along. 1 word that you hope 2020 will be for you, and I think my word is joyful. I would like to have a joyful year this year. Is that greedy? Yes, but who cares? Joy for me, joy for my family, joy for people around me, joy for the world, really. Yeah. Now then, the final thing that you have to do in a tag video is tag other people. And this is the bit that makes me feel slightly, well, I was going to say nauseous, but perhaps that's putting it too strong. But I just can't imagine saying to other people, make a video like I have on this tag. So, but I do know that there are some very, very kind people out there on BookTube that I've come across, loads of you, in fact. And I'm going to pick two of the kindest women that I've come across on BookTube. One is Alba of Seriella, and the other is Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, and I shall tag them. But anyone else who wants to do it, who sees this, go ahead. Thanks.